So we should start. And this is the third meeting, the third Zoom. All our meetings are in a way under the frame of the Beyond the Skin, how the skin.
Somebody put the radio on.
This evening, we're supposed to be guest of Avi Rosen. Dr. Avi Rosen is sitting with us. And we plan to be at the laboratory at the Technion Academy in Haifa. But since we are a little bit limited to move now, we decided to transfer it to the Zoom. But we shall ask Avi, if I may ask you to say a few words about the school, about the academy, about the laboratory. Oh, here is Avi.
Okay.
Can you say maybe we should project your work immediately after? So the board
okay. I'll talk a little bit because the situation I'm in title of a grandfather that has to look after my granddaughter, which her father, my son, is in duty, so it will be short. So, hello everyone. My name is Avi Rosen. I'm an artist, cultural researcher, and engineer. I work for 35 years in the signal and image processing lab at the Technion, at the electrical and the computer faculty. I'm happy to host you virtually in the Technion. Most of my artwork combines art and technology. The project that I will present here is a scan of my physical body, which I embedded as an information layer in Google Earth, Google Sky, and Google Earth program. This action unites internet surfers, all of us, into a holistic entity. Each of us is a cell in a body or in a global skin that cover our globe. This concept can perhaps solve the conflict we are so subject to in these tense days. So I wish all of us today a peace and a quiet and fruitful discussion. So if you can show my artwork, the digital skin, I will be glad. And thank you.
Can I start, Avi?
you say, the glass was never really finished.
No, the last time
What's up, guys? My name's Brandon, and Apple just recently released iOS 18.1 Beta 1. And in this video, I wanted to go a bit deeper with explaining Apple Intelligence and the features that are included.
Sorry for that, but you need to have commercials after the movie.
Avi is still here, or he vanished?
He's
Nela?
finished. The work is here, the artist is not present.
Okay. I wanted to ask him something, but he's probably not here. Anyhow, Yasmine Bergner. Hi, how are you?
You're
on mute, Yasmine.
You are in mute. Yasmine, you are in mute.
כן, כן. היי, ערב טוב, מה נשמע?
Yeah, how are you?
טוב, טוב, לילה.
You will present yourself. I just wanted to tell you when I saw the maps, the Galaxia of Avi Rosen, and then I saw the drawings of on the map, it reminded me your geometric scheme, and maybe you should find the links to your method because you're coming from the tattoo on the body, and there was a very creative combination in Avi's movie between the human being, the human body, I'm sorry, with his cyberspace. And on a different way, I think that you translate it to your world. So maybe you should bring us to your research and even show us some of your works. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first time I see Avi's work, and it was very, very interesting, very riveting, and it straight away connected me to my own research. And yeah, I feel it's like a different interpretation for the same poetic meaning. And one of the main ideas, what I do, what I specialize in throughout the last decade and a half is I'm a multidisciplinary artist, I'm a tattooer and researcher of sacred geometry and art therapist. And along the years, I made a kind of a hybrid profession and connected everything I do together. And I created a practice that I call spiritual guidance through the art of tattooing. And my focus is mainly about sacred geometry, and also to incorporate it into my tattoo work, but also to teach it as a very profound teaching, which is a perennial philosophy, something that was known in ancient times and was forgotten, and now is, but always was there for people who were looking for it. And now it's coming more to the forefront of our culture, I believe, because we need it. And because of it's a kind of a counterforce for this kind of the value crisis that we're experiencing in our times. And sacred geometry is the visual or geometrical language of all visual literacy, all shapes, symbols, metastructures, and so on. And to teach it as a multidisciplinary field of research really brings all areas of life together as a holistic way of learning about the earth, the planet, and the human being. So Avi's work is really showed really beautifully the concept of the human being being a kind of an event horizon. If you're familiar with the concept from physics, that we are a kind of a threshold between the macrocosm and the microcosm. So it was very nice to see the transfer, the kind of a trickling between dimensions. And in the last few years, I've been researching a new area of research in my field, a part of the sacred geometry research. I'm also a researcher of tattoo anthropology, tattoo culture from all around the world, indigenous cultures, and so on. And basically every language of art and tattoos is also a part of the sacred geometry of the meta structures that connects between all of us. And I started looking into the field of tattooing and futurism, and to see that there's a kind of a trend, cultural trend that comes from the industrial and technological world, and where industrial entities try to jump on the tattooing culture bandwagon and offer people tattoos that will be in a kind of a relationship with the kind of a technological relationship with the body. whether it's implants or over the skin. Sometimes they have a very silly point, like a kind of a technological, electronical tattoo that will be over the skin and will alert us whenever we...
What do you mean electronical tattoo? What is this exactly?
Yes, there is a kind of trend in the past few years that is called biotech tattoos, and it's a kind of a part of the innovations that are trying to be made in different industrial and technological companies, that they're trying to offer us products, you know, to buy commodities as tattoos over the body. And sometimes it's it will have an electronical circuit that will be read by our perspiration, and it will alert us whenever our phone rings. Okay, I will feel a buzz in my body. It could be to measure my insulin level, but it could also be something that will an RFID that will, like a chip implant that I can do like this and go into the office. So it has many aspects, sometimes some of them terrifying, some of them beneficial. The most extreme...
You are talking about certain devices that are used for detection, for diagnosis. How do you relate such implantables to tattoo? And where do you see the relationship with skin?
Because the way it's presented, the way it's presented to be an attractive product or device is through calling it a tattoo. It has also aesthetic value on the skin, and it's derived of the cyberpunk aesthetics of you know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s science fiction culture, you know, in literature and movies. And we are living in this reality. And I always ask myself, you know, how far we're going to go. And the most extreme example is Elon Musk's Neuralink, which may, if it will help autistic children, I'm all for it. But if it's for making me a slave of corporations, then I don't want it. Then it may very well destroy me as a human being. So eventually, and aside of the
toys also used to be part of skin marking of slaves. That's part of the history.
So if we're taking it to ancient times and the original duty or function of tattoos, forms that there is from prehistory, it's also a technology of inscribing ink into the skin through creating a cut and a scar. And one of the most significant functions of tattoo is a medicinal duty, a medicinal function. And it was always a part of a tradition of indigenous rites of passage, and addressing to the tattoo as a talisman of empowerment, which can be cultural and collective. It could be personal, and that's what I based my practice on. Through exploring tattoo anthropology, which is an amazing and so endless field of research. And so also what indigenous cultures believe is that the human body is itself an autonomous technology, And there are great risks if we intervene too much in the body. We may lose our identity, which is a very complex question, because who can say what is an identity, how it is being established? It's a dynamic thing. It's an evolutionary thing. It's a really complex conversation.
So may I ask you a question? You were talking about if you compare those implantables that you mentioned, they can be removed. However, if you create a tattoo on one's skin, it's very difficult to make it disappear. So that's in a sense, the tattoo is more a problem in defining or changing in future than those implantables that can be removed and forgotten, isn't it?
Yes, but when you consider the pros and cons of ink versus the pros and cons of biotech tattoos and biohacking, it's a part of a whole agenda and trend of transhumanism, which is another whole conversation. But ink in itself is not harmful. Is not harmful not to the skin, not to the body. Of course, I'm talking about original ink, not like colors and modern stuff, which do have some risks. Like everything. I mean, if you have to choose, if you buy Coca-Cola, you know that it has these ingredients in it. But if you drink orange juice, it's okay. The same is with ink. And I also use only ink which is natural, which is non-intrusive.
Okay.
Yasmine, sorry, just a small question here. Is it the same kind of ink for these electronic circuits?
Again, what's the question?
When you create these circuits on the body as a tattoo, it's the same kind of ink? Is it the same natural ink?
You're asking when
I'm asking
my
you,
inks?
not necessarily yours, but when you talked about the circuits on the body in those futuristic kind of tattoos, I'm asking if they use the same ink.
There are a lot of kinds of inks today. Like in art, they put a lot of heavy metal sometimes
That's what I thought.
colors, so that's why I never use them.
Right, it's got metal in it.
But also there is another trend which it doesn't come from, I mean, it's inspired by the technological and cyberpunk culture, where artists use biotech tattoos or body modification as a concept to use it as an artistic as an art form. And like Orlan, that use body modification to just play with the visibility, with the aesthetics, with what it means, to be a human, visually. And sometimes, like if you know the really fascinating artist, Stellark, he's an artist which is takes body augmentation very far. He's a biohacker and transhumanist, and he, for example, implanted a microphone in the shape of an ear on his arm. You know this work?
Yeah.
So he can, I think, listen to his wife talk in the other room or something like that. And he does a lot of experiments with that. And there are many examples. So it's a fascinating subject because it fascinates both artists and scientists and researchers, and it's also an espionage tool, a very efficient espionage tool, and we are in the era of espionage and control system. So it's very risky.
Oh, Professor Bruckstein. Hi, Freddy. Do you think that we are now approaching an era where privacy is denied and we are totally invaded by signals? Please also present yourself briefly. And you are now on mute. Please unmute yourself.
You open.
Freddy, you have to unmute.
You unmute.
We can't hear you.
We don't hear you. We don't hear you. You are on mute.
I unmuted now. Or is it okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I am a professor of computer science at the Technion. I know Avi Rosen for many, many years because I worked with him in the laboratory of signal processing when I was a student, and afterwards when I returned as a professor to the Technion. I always watched with a lot of interest his forays into computer art. But to be very frank, I love Avi Rosen's line drawings more than his cyber art. And this is due to my personal biases. I also like to draw, and my drawing is mostly about lines and doing all kinds of shapes, and I like to analyze shapes by drawing them and by redrawing them and by modifying them. And my research has dealt with shape analysis and applied geometry in many aspects, in many different areas of computer vision, image processing, computer graphics, and so on. As to the subject as to your question, I think we are in an era of losing privacy, and this is due to the fact that each and every one of us carries this device that I am holding in my hand, and this device is really a window into the world. So through this device, the world watches me and I watch the world. So it's like an interface, and we are being watched. The big companies are watching us, and the service providers are watching us, and there is a lot of information that is being gathered about us now as we speak and as we do everything. So we should assume that we are out in the public eye always. That's a good advice. As to the subject of this symposium, when you told me that it is going to be about skin, I started to think about the definition, the geometric definition of skin. And I think the best way to define skin is the interface, a lower dimensional interface between the object and the non-object in any space. So why do I say this? For example, in the plane, when I have a shape in the plane, the contour of the shape is its skin. When I have a three-dimensional object like the Earth, the surface of the Earth is the skin. And therefore, maybe, and as we are living in this on the surface of the Earth and we don't know what's inside, but we can contemplate what is outside, maybe our universe is the skin between some higher dimensional entity. And physicists are exploiting this idea that we live in 4-dimensional or even higher dimensional spaces, and we can only explore a lower dimensional subspace of it, which is, in fact, a skin, an interface that separates such domains. So the subject is extremely general and extremely interesting, in my opinion.
We usually try to explore such spaces and geometrical spaces using mathematics.
Yeah.
And algorithms. So can you see any comparison between the process of skin formation or shaping to the computation and mathematical computations?
So I just mentioned this, that we want to analyze a shape in some let's take the simplest example, which is 2 dimensions. So we want to analyze the shape of a 2-dimensional blot or 2-dimensional shape in the plane. So somebody makes a dark spot on the surface of a piece of paper, and now imagine that there is a creature that lives only on its contour. Okay, so the creature that lives on its contour, it wants to know what is the shape of the surface or the shape of the object on which it lives, on whose skin it exists. So there is a way of mathematically describing the contour and of mathematically inferring the 2-dimensional shape of the blot of the shape from a walk on the skin, on the contour. And this is a very interesting topic. In what cases can you do this? What are the informations that you have to gather in the skin in order to understand what lies within it, or what is the general shape of the object on which you are, of the object which you are exploring by walking on its skin. So that's really very there exists really nice mathematical theories that people have developed on this. And I would mention here also a book by Abbott called Flatland. I don't know whether you have ever encountered it. It's a very nice book in which he imagines that if the world would have been not 3-dimensional, our physical world, but 2-dimensional, what kind of creatures could exist and what kind of objects could act in this world, and how could these objects learn about each other, and how could they interact. It's a very interesting semi-mathematical book. It's like more philosophical, but it's a very interesting book.
I think that we should, thank you, it's very interesting. I feel that I'm eager to get back a little bit to the emotional aspect. And may I remind maybe the definition of a memory, or if I bring back nature, Tirza, maybe you should present yourself, but at least metaphor, because I see your creative work again as a kind of a dialogue with nature. We're talking about mathematics, we're talking about a technical means before with Yasmine, but I feel that I'm a little bit eager to know from you, from Yiannos, and even from Henie sitting here, and our first project dealt with memory, which again had to do a little bit with the human body and even skin, Henie, long time ago. But let us know what is your dialogue with the skin, Tirza.
Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay. What I wanted to start it with is this piece of series, and that has to do with ecofeminism. It's a concept that has developed in the 1970s by a French artist, which says that there is comparison between attitude towards earth and towards women, and it has to do with mostly by men, ownership, abuse, self-praise, and exploitation over the earth and over women. And once one will be resolved, the other will be resolved. And this series, I took pieces of paper, folded them to half, did the leaves that is eco print, printed them, then did ink on both the same, and then on one side, the earth side, did embroidery with green, and on the other here, on this piece, I put print of red. So if Doron asked me to talk about future and art, I think that the future will be different if our attitude as people on earth will be different. That's the way I see it. What?
No, okay.
Okay. Here is a weaving of just degradable materials that I did 25 years ago. It looks very different than it looked in the beginning. There is here like needles of pine tree and raffia and different materials that is all degradable. And in terms of my art is usually degradable because I'm using natural materials, and they even if they last, they look different after a while. And as to keep it last longer, I photograph it, I put it in a book. But the real art, I also insist, like when I make papers from different plants, I make sure not to use chemicals. And of course, that makes it more degradable and more friendly to our earth. So that's one thing that I'm doing also in my art in terms of using the environment. This piece and the piece next to it is just a sort of dirt that was left on my desk after working there, after doing monotype that was left, and I just photo it and printed it. I didn't do any Photoshop on it. It's a desk, a white desk with glass on it. I photo and I print, and these two things are just using dirt as art. Here there is another piece of dirt that I use. This is a photograph of a piece of plastic table that was sitting in my yard, got very dirty with, dirt, soil, dust. And one morning, there was some animal, I don't know which, just went over it and cleaned it. And did that amazing shape. And it all just happened. It's without any, the only thing I did with it was after the 2006 war that I wrote on it on the Milky Way. On Earth, there is a lot of stars, and I added little graves on the Milky Way that is on the ground, but the piece of art is really dirt on plastic table. So here is another piece that I made. These are leaves of dates that died before they developed. It's like, I call it fetus leaves that died of dates. And I found one, and it was sitting on my desk for quite a few months. And then I decided I just will start working with the palm dates. And so these are all found things, and the background is a paper I made from cotton. But again, it's just natural found things that.
So Tirza, those are materials that eventually will degrade, and the artwork may disappear. So is there any future to your artwork?
The only future is my book.
And does it bother you if it won't last, say, in 100 years?
No. In the first book I did with the weaving, I even wrote there in one of the poems, "Don't worry, I will die before you." I don't need peace for 3,000 years. I don't, I do it to please me and people that are seeing how beautiful the world can look, but it doesn't have to be eternal, to my opinion. Here is the pod where the flowers of the dates develop, and I picked them after they fell or cut from in the orchard of the palm dates, and I just scratched them and did some patterns on them. And again, it just found useless material. Here, as you can see,
Tirza, that last one looked a little bit like a nature tattoo.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, kind of, because in tattoo you put paint and I didn't. I just scratch, and under the skin, the color is different.
Okay.
Again, just of a date that I photograph and then put it on a ceramic plate. And, there is a whole series of these pits that are just nobody else notice or do any use of this. But here's another found things from construction site. I took this metal and I put it on handmade paper. Here it's a paper of some iris leaves. What?
Can you I think that we got your idea. I just wanted to ask you something, but you need to cancel the share. I want to see you. I wanted to ask you 2 questions.
Okay, so you want me to cancel it?
I think we got we had enough from your artworks.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think that there is 2 important questions to ask you. One on the process of your creation, like I would define it like you creating with your hands, with your skin. It's a part of your process. I just want to ask you about using your skin in your process, one way. The second is, we had an exhibition which I curated long time ago, and you brought few works on handkerchief of your father.
Yeah.
That was, I think that in a way, you had a kind of interpretation to personal either smells or whatever from your father body or father touch. This is what I said when we're talking about the meaning of touch in our skin, which I got from Yasmine description before as well. The process of touching skin. Could you say something about your process using your skin in creating your elements?
I don't think so. I think for me the skin is the cover of what's behind it. It's marking the edge. It's and with what I'm doing now, it's marking beginning and ending. And the skin itself is the threshold, is the saf in Hebrew. And but I don't know what else to say about it. I think that in all my art there are many layers, and I don't. What, Yehudah? What did you want to say?
Tirza, for you the skin is the boundary. It's the fence. Avivit, is it the same for you? The skin is just the barrier? Avivit?
Avivit, you are in mute.
She's thinking. Shall we move to someone else and you think about it?
Avivit, you hear us?
No.
You are in mute. We don't hear you. You're on mute.
On the bottom left side,
okay.
Sign the microphone. Push on it.
Oh, now you are with us. Hi, Avivit.
Hi, it's the moment.
Did you hear Yehudah's question?
No, sorry.
Tirza mentioned that to her the skin is a barrier, it's a threshold, and she doesn't necessarily address it as a significant structure. That's my understanding, Tirza.
Yeah.
Avivit, is it also for you? The skin is just a mere barrier.
For me, actually, the skin is a living being. If I refer to, actually, I have two, like the dough and also the bones. But now I will refer to the dough. The dough for me is like, it is a living creature.
You
I
mean
use
the
sourdough, and it is living. It has its life.
Could you please, Avivit, could you describe shortly your installation, just to tell the people around what do you mean using dough in your work, or the installations with the bones? Just say a few words about it.
Okay, so I had a big installation in Eretz Israel Museum that it lasted for almost 1.5 years. Every week I used to make a big balls of kind of balls from sourdough, and I made the dough and I baked it, and after baking you could really feel the material. You can see the life, like frozen life in the material, the life that was in the dough. And every week I used to bring like a offer to the place, and the climate and the time made the thing in this like statue, I would call it, and it continue living all this period. And not a few, like 2 months ago, I did an exhibition with Yehudah. I had the honor, and I used the opposite from the dough, that it is a living material. I used the bones that I found while walking in the nature. And I collected like bones and other materials that finished their cycle of life. And I gave them life in the way I built like new creatures from these bones. And also I took photographs. I used them like it was signs, or I made pictures or drawings with these bones. And the bones is like one of it is outside, and the bones inside. Like the skin is a barrier.
You know that in Christianity, when we talk about bread, we talk about Jesus in a way. So we are not those who invented the similarity in between human skin and, in a way, bread. And I think that we see it a lot in your art.
Yeah.
Huge installation of, you call it dough, but I see it bread. And bread is a whole, almost body in a way. So I think that you have another extension to this topic as well. But again, I just wanted to ask you about your process of creation, like touching the material. I'm a little bit lack in our discussion here the element of touch, talking about our skin. So
yeah, so both bones and dough have energy. I can really, when I touch, now I will speak about the dough. It's like really touching human. It has human skin, human flesh. It has its temperature, its flexibility, its life. It's as I said before, it's a living creature. So it's very חושי, sense, yeah. All senses, actually all senses are involved in it. The touch, the smell, of course, the taste. So it's very, it involves all the senses. When I touch the bone, it seems like the opposite. It is cold and it is tough, and we refer to bone like without life. But when I touch really and I feel the bone, I take my focus to this material, I can really feel the life it had, the life before. I can feel the animal, and it is amazing. It's like a dead material, but I feel the life in it.
It actually gives the bones, and touching the bones and feeling the energy gives those lives eternity for the future to come.
Definitely,
nice.
Definitely.
Nice.
And I look actually when I deal with bones, I can look cycle of life. Also the dough speaks about cycle of life, but also the bones. You understand that the cycle of life, bones, it doesn't end with bones. It keeps on living.
Can I was Yiannos, welcome you again. I don't know why I'm relating all the time to your creation, somehow from the memory inspiration that I have from your videos, and you consist declaring last time that you're using less electronical equipment and advanced, and you are working with the camera directly relating to the soil, to the earth, to the nature. Bring us again to your concept. What is your touch to the method of skin in your interpretation?
It's very interesting. Alfred gave me an idea today talking about the skin of the earth, and I was thinking about trees. I don't subscribe to the idea that the skin is a border. I see the skin as an instrument of communication. And the tree, I mean, the geographers know which is the elevation of a space. But a tree that goes up 20 meters or 30 meters and it goes down another 20 or 30 meters in its roots, where exactly does it exist? On which side of the skin? So this is my idea of the skin. The skin is just a medium on which things come and go all the time. And I tend to think that talking about the future, we will be seeing a lot more collapsing of barriers between different spheres. One of them, as you know, it's the barrier between the human species with the rest of the biosphere. It doesn't mean that the humans will cease to be in a way our main point of interest, but like a lot of hierarchies that are kind of collapsing right now. I think this hierarchical idea that everything is a measurement based on humanity is slowly being undermined. And this is the way that I'm seeing the future. I will show you a little bit, and I will be talking. This is what I normally do. I will share my screen. I'll put a video. Against conventional wisdom, don't show unfinished works. But this is not this is a workshop in a way, and ideas that you might see, and they might come, they might come, I might get some feedback from you. Just let me share my. Okay, I don't know what you're seeing now. Do you see a flamenco? Yeah?
Not yet.
Not really.
No. Okay, let's go back. It's asking me which application, because I have lots of applications. Yes. Okay, do you see it now by any chance?
Now you
Yes.
Okay. So this is just some shots that I put together for the purpose of this video. I will not be talking for as long as this thing lasts. It lasts for about 8 minutes. I don't think I can talk for that much. And I will turn down the volume. This thing is in the middle. Shall I?
Yeah, we see the middle.
Okay, now it's better. And then, okay, the idea for my next video is going to be a 3 screens video, and I will try to put images that I have collected in which the main protagonist will not be humans. It will be creatures that live around my area. In fact, mostly around my house. A lot of the shots, not this one is taken about 50 kilometers away from here, but this one is taken around about around the corner and so on. And I will try to show exactly this idea that we will be entangled in a new situation, and we will live with other creatures, and other creatures will have to live with us in a more balanced way. The second point I will try to make is that traditionally, we tend to think as animals as something inferior mentally, emotionally to human beings. And I will try to show something different. I think it's the other way around. We don't have animal instincts. It's the other way around. It's animals that feel and think and behave in human ways. The fact that we don't have language doesn't mean that they don't understand, that they don't communicate. For example, I'm saying that this bee is not really functioning. It's not doing anything that is of any value, except it's playing. It's playing like cats are playing and children are playing. I don't know. I mean, I'm putting in some creatures. I hope you're not scared of other animals, because I have things that I found in my garden. They are not so scary, really, in reality. They're all struggling to survive, basically. And they're just as beautiful as we are. And of course, a very important subject in my case is cats, because I feed a lot of cats around, and I have a very good relationship with them. They understand me and I understand them. Okay, it's a little bit slow, the video as is going, but that's because it's just one screen. And I'm transferring I'm trying to transfer the way that everything basically is as intelligent and as emotional as human beings. And we should kind of drop this arrogance about ourselves and understand that, you know, they have exactly the same emotions that we have. And this is my kind of centerpiece. I have this cat that for some reason is hated by a pair of crows. And I have hundreds of minutes of these crows chasing this person, this cat. And I read a lot of books because of that. And I realized that crows are one of the most intelligent beings that are walking in. That's why they're known as flying chimpanzees. And you see how obsessed he is almost, or she is almost with the cat. And then eventually they attack him. So to wrap it up, my idea is that the very idea of the skin as a shield or as a separating shield, separating border, it's not really valid anymore. My skin is one that it's a mesh that things come and go and interchange. I mean, this is the final shot of my saga of those two. And you can see the crow trying to challenge the cat. The cat is looking at me because I called him, because I realized that he was very disturbed. And then when he decides to walk towards me, you see the crow, yeah, look at his expression. He's looking at me, or she's looking at me. I don't know if it's a male or a female. And he understands that the cat is coming, and then he gets upset. And the cat starts running, and you know, it's just like pure anthropomorphism. And you know where Aesop got his tales, and where Walt Disney and everything. And this is very simply my new work, with a lot more. Actually, this is just a clip of the whole thing. Yes. That's that. I'm not going to. I will just try to come back to you. Provided I get to stop share. Yeah. Now, this is my new work, but it's work in progress. It will take months to finish. Okay. But I will try through montage, through editing, to create this interminglement of humans and animals and other animals, interspecies. A lot of the times, an idea comes through the work. It doesn't, I mean, I don't have it as a solid idea, and then I sit down and say, okay, let me edit it. I work, I edit, I look, and then maybe I go and shoot even more, some more. But it will become concrete in the process. Yeah. And this is my skin. And this is my future. My future is an alternative future, one that will have different perceptions. And as artists, we cannot design solutions. We don't know how things will turn out, but we can help create visions. We can help give ideas, even make people more confident about the future, because really things are not looking very good right now, but it might be an opportunity. You know, it might be the best opportunity humanity ever had for a better world. I think this is just about it for the moment. I mean, I hope I explained.
Thank you, Yiannos. Thank you. Henie, seeing the relationship between cats and birds and the human being photographing them and talking about future and past sort of reminds me mummies or ancient symbols may serve us in the future.
Yes.
See the revival of a new fashion of showing more and more mummies?
No, the idea, the Egyptian idea of...
I'm sorry, I addressed the question to Henie Westbrook from London. She's an archaeologist, among things. Henie, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
You have to open. We can't hear you.
Open again.
No, we don't hear you.
But I'm not mute.
No,
now
I'm sorry. We are referring.
Can you hear me now?
To Henie.
Henie. Sorry.
No, we couldn't.
Now thank you. Hello, I'm on mute.
Only now. Now you got back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I actually don't understand why you think this connects to mummies. I don't know what you mean exactly. How does it connect to mummies?
Showing us sort of symbols of a bird and a cat, and sort of reminded me of the...
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Okay, because Egyptians tended to not only mummify humans, they mummified particularly cats a lot, because they also were manifestation of the gods and crocodiles and so on. But that is only a religious reference. I think Yiannos, I don't know his surname, I think he means something different. Yes, in a way, the Egyptians destroyed the hierarchy between people and animals. But it was on a slightly different level, because it was a kind of reverence. Does Yiannos mean it as a reverence? A reverence for other living beings, or it's something different, I think?
I go back to therianthropes, men, beasts, that the Egyptians kept, but before that, animistic religions did not see the separating line between humans and the rest of the biosphere. And the Egyptians came towards the end, and they did have, it was during the end of this period of animism. And in this respect, I go back to it in a way, but not as the ritual or as the religious practice, because I'm not religious, but as the idea that humans and other animals were sharing the world and on the same level. It was, I believe, with Western civilization, which could mean from Babylon onwards, that this domination of the humans became as an idea, I think. And I'm going back in a way to a more primitive state, but I will never project this into a future. Like it was said, it happened in the past, and it will happen again, but always on a different level, in a different situation. This is what in a way, the Egyptians are an influence in my way of thinking, but I'm not in the way that Yehudah is saying,
Well, I agree, because I don't think the Egyptian had the idea of this non-hierarchy for them. Yes. Certain animals were manifest of gods. Yeah, so I think that wouldn't really work. But it's an interesting idea. It's just that, what if you're not an animal lover? How do you feel about this? I know it is an abstract idea and it has nothing to do with it, but it's for some people it might be quite hard to kind of put us on the same level.
It's not a question of taste, it's a question of ethics, but more importantly, it's a question of survival. We will not survive. Humanity will not survive if it goes business as usual without adapting to a new situation in which we respect the rest of the biosphere. It's not it's like you don't have to marry a black person, but you respect them, you accept them. People have tastes, have preferences, have this, have that. I like animals, but that's not the point. It's more political.
But is there not I don't really want to say, but is there a question of choice or isn't there a question of choice? Sometimes you have to.
You don't have to live with animals, but you have to respect their space.
Okay, fine, but if you need to kind of
kill an animal,
put somebody first, whom would you put first? Or you hopefully will not be in a situation where you have to do that.
I would judge in the same way that you judge. About Cyprus, we are split between Greeks and Turks, or Greek-speaking Cypriots and Turkish-speaking. There are good Turkish-speaking Cypriots and good Greeks and good Turks. If you don't, I will not take parts, but I accept that killing is part of nature. My cats cannot go vegan. I can go vegan, but not my cats. And so on and so forth. A lot of animals have to kill, but there is a balance, and there is a kind of respect to every living creature in the way they live. I'm not a Buddhist. I don't believe that I kill mosquitoes when they bite me.
So if we talk about respecting animals, Yasmine, actually in many tattoos work, we tattoo animals on ourselves. Is it out of respect or what?
Wow, you read my mind, because I was going to add something. I wanted to add a kind of a connecting point between what you both are saying, and it's also funny synchronistically, because my tattoos here, they are inspired by ancient Egypt, and ancient Egypt is also, I'm an amateur researcher in ancient Egypt studies, and specifically chematology, which relates to the oldest part of Egypt. And I think
Sorry, wait, what is your specialty about Egyptology? Could you please repeat?
Chematology.
Hematology.
Chemet.
Okay, chemet, which is chemet is the word for Egypt. But what is chematology? I don't know.
There is an alternative school of research that is called chematology, which relates to the geological findings in the ground in ancient Egypt, and perennial philosophy, and dates back really far back, and revisits a lot of classic ideas in classic Egyptology. But what I wanted to say is that from what I understand, because also I'm a therapist, and basically everything comes back to archetypes, whether they're in the manifested world or in our psyche, and the role of the animal from ancient times, also in Egypt, but also all over the world, is a totemic power. It's a universal force, and when we look at the animal, we relate to its totemic power. It's not that it's really human. I mean, we identify with its powers and mirror it the way we are able to. But the creative forces of the universe, each animal is depicting something a bit different, and it's an archetypal power. So it's really beautiful when you look at the animals in the video, you're observing them empathically, and so it's like Narnia. It's like you're learning to read their language. It's not really our language. We're just appropriating it, but it's their language. We're supposed to, I think, in my heart, like you say, to go back to the fundamental values, to animism, and to understand that everything is a part of the life cycle of the planet. It's described very nicely in the book Circle of Stones. It's an amazing book.
I say, Yiannos, before you talk, Yiannos,
yeah,
you put your cat in front of us. It was, we could see, we could even,
yeah, I know.
we could watch you touching the cat's skin.
Yeah,
I
I
saw
know.
it before. Like, it's related to what Yasmine just said now.
And I think, if I may say, another thing is that I think it also relates to the video that we thought maybe to show, is that when we consider the human body as autonomous technology, one of the unused powers that we have is telepathy and intuition. And then when we observe animals like that and each other empathically, then we start to develop more and more our telepathic powers. And I think it has a very important part in a beneficial evolutionary path.
So you see part of the future themes as increasing telepathy or other newer forms of communication. Hans, can you think of other forms of communications that will transmit us sounds and music in different forms without using, say, hearing?
Without hearing?
Without.
No, I think we need, even if when we think about the ear, it's the medium which makes us hear. Is for example, in German it's called Trommelfell, drum skin. You say eardrum in English, but we say drum skin. So it's also a part of the skin which makes us hear. And I think, but it's not only. I think it's not only the eardrum which makes us hear. I think
also feel the vibrations.
It's. Yeah. I think all these vibrations which touch us, we can kind of percept in a way. And I just, I have this drum here, which is just an animal skin. Again, actually, it's also a part of communicating, or it was an animal. And now we kind of still communicating with this animal because we touch it in a way. And I just found out that resonance is also very important. When I have my piano here. And I don't know if you hear this.
No, we can't.
You can?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yes, we can.
Just by the frame is touching the wood and the skin is kind of singing. It's a, so it has it's a B now. And so I tried to I tried to make the drum play piano.
No, עכשיו לא, אבל אין שומעים.
We can't hear right now.
Can't hear?
Cannot.
Oh, I don't know why.
The mic need to be on the piano.
Yeah, no, you can't hear the piano. It's very soft. Now? But I just want to say, skin, I think we listen with the whole body. That's what I think. And we made other forms of skin being the first instrument. Yes, I think this is the earliest instrument people started to invent. That's what I can say for the idea of skin and sound.
I had a piece, a performance, long time ago when I asked two musicians work with clapping on each back with the rhythm.
Yeah.
And we had a part that we used liquid. We used mainly water while creating a kind of typical on the back, as I said. And it was interesting because, again, it had the meaning of doing it in a strong way or in a loud way. And the reaction of the other one was a part of it was two actions. Like one was dominating and the second was reacting. But that was all with skin. It was hands and a back. And that brought me again to the idea and the feeling that Yasmine again, that it's the touch. I'm all the time thinking about the skin as a kind of meeting point in between two characters, two bodies, whatsoever. And it reminds me many of the contributions tonight, but the only thing, even to Freddy, when Freddy said that when he talked after talking the computer, he said, but my art is drawing. Freddy, if you are with me, at the end, emotionally again, when you want to express yourself, you're drawing. It's a self-drawing. And that brings me again to the question, if skin at the end, it's not something that we indeed need the human brain, human action, like the very conceptual question to myself is, while Yasmine, if you will be in the future, if you can be here, and if Hans is in Berlin, Henie is in London, Yiannos is in Cyprus, whether you can make a tattoo to those people from Israel.
חד משמעית, no.
Say it in English.
איך אומרים חד משמעית?
Definitely no.
Definitely not. But it's not that there are not also innovative people trying to create a kind of a tattoo vending machine or an automatic machine that you will go to the beach and you can do a tattoo, in a vending machine. This is not me. And I take very seriously the connection between myself and my clients, and I mean, what I was thinking about before when you spoke is about the concept of mana. Where is this noise coming from?
I shut it off. It's okay.
In the Polynesian culture, there is a concept which is connected to the rites of passage to anthropology in general, and it's called mana. Mana is an equivalent to the concept of chi, ki, shechina, the universal force that is emanating throughout everything. And it's considered that the tattoo artist emanates mana, and the client emanates, like each one of us emanates energy, and they call it mana, the life force. And the tattoo is a kind of adornment that through the creative process of choosing the symbols, the symbolism, the personal connotation, the history, the genealogy of the tattoo is augmenting the mana, and we transfer the mana. It's like a toroidal motion between us, like a feedback loop that is the makeup of everything, but we unfortunately most of the time are not aware of it, but we transfer energy between each other all the time. And the tattoo process is a kind of attempt to put a focus point on this process of an intention between two people to inscribe a kind of unforgettable lesson to our lives, and to remember. It's a kind of it's an identity. It's a self-recognition, reclaiming, all of those words. So I think it's super important and irreplaceable, the personal relationship. I mean, if there is not a person to look at you, a person or an animal, it doesn't matter. If there isn't a kind of a consciousness, an empathic consciousness, then we cannot grow to be functional beings.
So in the
We're
future,
just monsters.
So one option in the future is that we will have to live in such extreme conditions that all of us will have to wear sort of protective suits. So what you're saying is that the tattoo will not exist in the future, since it's not the same to tattoo on our protective garment. It needs to be on the skin itself. Is that so?
I didn't understand the question. I think that tattoos won't exist in the future?
I'm asking if in the future we'll all live under protective suits. We won't be able to live with exposed skin. Say either.
Well, I have a kind of a quirky approach to it. I don't believe in one reality. I think there are multiple realities, multiple timelines, and there is not just one future. There are probabilities, and also quantum physics show it right now. In this age, that there is not one outcome. So I think it's very dependent on our consciousness. If what I wish when I am living in this very troubled times and I want to connect more to the earth and balance the ecological living, then I will find a place to do so. if I want to live with gadgets and technology, want to be immersed in this. So maybe in the future, I will come back as a gray alien and try to find out what went wrong.
Also, Yasmine, by the way, there are many people who indeed create tattoo on their body and they cover it. Not all of them are exposing it.
Exactly.
Maybe the action of making a tattoo as a psychological and emotional meanings rather than exposing it. So that could be a kind of an answer as well. It's not necessarily so. I think, guys, that in this point, maybe we should close this discussion.
And I hope that if I'm faster, maybe it will help bring, you know, the weight.
Thank you very much.
Try to do it fast.
It was very interesting. Okay, guys, I think that we had a very interesting 2 hours. And as you know, we might meet in Venice on September 5th. We have 4 days of discussions, demonstrating art and the beautiful atmosphere in Venice. We might have a next Zoom on the 14th, and we shall update you. But meanwhile, thank you very much for all the participations and
thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you very
Good night.
much.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.